Hi, I'm Steve Pearson, and this is the tutorial video for the Vectra Cobra remote module. Let's get started by showing you what exactly it's capable of doing. This is the new Cobra remote module. This is the transmitter. Of course, this is the receiver. The main difference between the old one and the new one, the old one had a timer feature that's, you could say it's been deprecated. It really wasn't necessary, but it had a feature where you would press the button and then you had a couple seconds to take your hand out of your pocket and go abracadabra, and this would move just a little bit, and that was it. With this one, you can access these buttons so easily, and it's compatible with all the other switches and things, and you can hook a timer into it. As, also, if you really want to, on and off switch here, I'll just turn this on, and you'll see that these buttons are so easy to find. You can hit either one to activate this reel. You can be discreet about it and have the back of your thumb there, right? So it's really not necessary to have this timer feature. You can have complete control over it so discreetly. You can pull it across a whole room if you want. You're not limited to just a little jump. The other main change is how to activate the always on, or the ITR mode. The old generation, the previous generation, you had to hold the button down for a full 3 seconds and to activate the always on mode, which wasn't really very discreet or very practical. This one has a switch inside. I just flip that switch. That's the switch right here. And now it's going to change the functionality. When I press the button, it's going to turn it on. It's going to keep it on, leave it on. So it's operating like an ITR until I press the button again, and then it's off. All right. Those are the main two differences. It's compatible with the previous Cobra and the G2. It's also compatible with all the existing switches and modules. So like I said, you could hook the timer into it if you really want to, but you can also plug the existing switches in, especially a useful switch like the Mercury switch. You can now strap this underneath your clothing, and when you raise your arm far enough, it's going to activate the reel. When you lower it, it's going to turn it off. So you're limited only by your imagination. That is the new Vectra Cobra remote module. And show you a couple things that you can do with alternate switches. First of all, the pressure switch is probably the most popular switch for the Cobra. That can be attached because it allows you to activate things. You can have it attached to the reel and activate it with pressure from outside a pocket or something. That can plug right into your remote. It lines up with the back like this. So you could have this wherever you want, whatever's convenient for you. This will fit into a card box, and then you can just squeeze the card box, which is kind of nice. But I think this is even better. The remote itself can fit into the card box. I have a few playing cards in there. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 playing cards to take up the extra space, and then one folded like this. And I trimmed it to be just the right size. What this does is it gives me a nice little container for my device, which goes over here. This goes over into here, and that's going to keep it in place, right? And this can be activated right through the card box, and it's going to be at the bottom of the B here, where my button's going to be, right? It's very, very easy to activate it in exactly the same way you did before. So I can, now let's take this one step further. And these are just a couple of the possible combinations. Again, this will take all the various switches. Here's my Mercury switch. This is, of course, a tilt switch. So now this is going to activate when this is tilted like this, right? So let's put that, I could put that wherever I want, but let's put that into the box. just because it's super convenient. So what does that give me? I have a box that, depending on the orientation of the box, okay, my reel is going to it's going to be always, I could set the box here and my reel is going to stay completely off. As soon as I turn that over, the reel is going to go on. And it's going to stay on now, right? I don't need to access always on mode because I have this permanently, keeping it on. The hookup I really like playing with, especially when we're using these hands-off modules like this or the timer module, is to have the reel concealed somewhere. I like to conceal it in a book, but we'll just put it over here. With the remote module, it could be anywhere. It could be the other side of the room on a bookshelf because you're going to be able to activate it, no matter where it is. Then my wax, I'm going to put it on the back edge of the tabletop that I'm working on. So what I can do is hook into the thread over on the edge of the table and pull it across the table, which I have it right here, and we get a nice loop going here, and that thread can be positioned around something like a can, right? And I'll wrap this around the top of the can, and what we're going to have here then is I have the remote inside here. Again, I'll press right at the bottom of the B, so this can be in my hand. And let's try it with the green there, and that knocks the can over. Let me make sure that was reeled in all the way so I know exactly where it's going to be. I'll reach over here to grab it, pull this out, and this time we'll put it more towards the bottom of the can, and we're going to get a different effect. That can's going to walk across the table and fall off the edge of the table, and everything's clean, and you could be anywhere. So I really like this kind of hookup for telekinetic effects, and even then for levitation effects, depending on how you work the thread. If I have this, when I want to get into it, I just grab this piece here, so it's wrapped around my thumb, right? And you can do whatever you like. When you're done with it, to get rid of everything, back over to the edge. It's just really convenient. Right now I've taken the reel and attached it over on the other side of the room, up higher actually behind the curtain, and when I press the button here I'm going to get a nice jumping card effect because I have my thread attached near me on the table. So I'm able to take the card, the thread is running up over to the reel, and I can just run that down there, take a little bit of the slack out of the other part of the line so we don't get this bouncing action. I'll take the tension out just by pulling back like that, and now that card's set, that when I hit the remote, sometimes we'll even get a turning over effect like that, which is kind of neat. Okay, here's something that'll get you thinking about the possibilities of having the reel in a remote location and being able to activate it right out in the open if you want to. I have a bill attached to my thread. The thread is running over my glasses. It's attached to my thumb. It's a modified version of the Fearson hookup that I explore quite a bit in the original Cobra tutorial. And the reel is attached over onto a vertical blind over in the corner of the room. And right now it's off, but I can activate it here with the green button with a half press, right? And I can put it into always on mode if I hold this for 3 seconds. So let's start out with it here on the box, right? And now I have very precise control over it with my thumb, and this is the thing. You're always going to get a mechanical feel when you activate with the reel. And you can cover that by acting like you want it to bounce, by having this thing just bounce all over. But if you use the reel to manage your thread, and I go over this again in the original tutorial, you can do a very delicate motions manually, and then just use the reel to suck in the extra thread. But let's see what we can do here just by activating this with the box. So we can start out by levitating the object, and then I'm going to activate it, and I'm going to push it intermittently to keep it bouncing, right? To keep it kind of dancing like that. Okay? And I can put it into always on mode now by holding that for 3 seconds, and now it can even go away from me when I bring this hand up. And it can come back to me by bringing the hand down. Now the remote control can work with the timer module. Let me put a quick program into the timer module. We'll have a 4 or 5 second delay before it starts. We'll have it run for just 1 second, and then a delay of 2 seconds, and then we'll repeat that just twice. Okay, and I'll leave the sound on so we can hear when this activates is when it's operating. Then I can plug my timer into my transmitter, and now this is going to activate the green level of activation here, and once I start my program you'll see this go off. It's going to count down 5 seconds, activate, and do it again. So it did it twice. I just wanted to show you here that it can this can be set wherever you want, hidden in a briefcase, and the reel could be somewhere in a distant location, and you can run your timer program right through the remote. You can also do it the other way, so all you have on you is your timer, and this could be concealed again wherever you want, in a box or anything, and then the timer is plugged in to the device, into the reel, and we'll leave that same program in there, right, for now. Make sure you can see everything. And then the transmitter, or the receiver, is plugged into the timer. So now I'm going to be able to activate that from a distance with my remote. That was it. And my program's going to run same as before. Now, this is very important to note. This should work just like this, but if it doesn't, you may have one of the original versions of the timer, which was wired differently, and in that case you need this, which I may have sent you if you're if you have one of the original timers. And the way you'll know if it doesn't work, when you plug this in, it's going to activate, but also when you go to move these buttons around, nothing's going to happen. It's just not wired right. So you use this extension here, and what this does is it switches 2 wires around. It was a polarity issue, and this one is wired right, so it won't work, but you have to use the extension and then it'll work. Now there's a way to fix this timer, the old version, that you won't need the cable, which I'll show you at the end of this video. You can also send it to me and I'll fix it for you. And again, this only applies if you have one of the very original timers, and you'll know if you do, because it's not going to want to work when this is plugged in. Now all these wires have been made the lengths that they are, so that, for instance, and you can bend the cords to keep them where you want them. The reel fits right next to the timer. This receiver curves around and fits right in there. So you've got a little packet that can fit into a small area, or like I like to use, a book that's been cut out. Okay, this is where I like to keep my Cobra. Inside the book I have everything: the timer, the remote control, and the Cobra. Inside the deck I have my transmitter unit for the remote control, and when I hit this, it's going to count down 5 seconds, and it's going to run for 1 second and turn off by itself. And there you see how everything fits together. Alright, we'll cut it right there because I know you're dying to get to it, and I think I've given you enough ideas to get you started. Again, if you have any problems with your device, you can contact me directly. I'm happy to fix it for you. These are basically lifetime warranted. I want to make sure everybody's happy. Have fun with your new remote, and until next time, I'm Steve Fearson. Okay. Now this video is in response to a few people who accused me of blowing on these objects to knock them over. I'm going to cover the cigarette up, in this case with a jar, glass jar, and let me put one more out here. I just want you to get an idea here what's really going on with this, the extent of what we can do. I'm going to move. I have to be where I feel right, but the camera's kind of in the way. I'll just do it from here. Watch. Alright, now, watch the second one. This is far. Okay. Now, if that doesn't convince you, I give up. And there's no magnets. This is a normal kitchen. I don't have a buddy hiding under the cabinet. And this is a normal cigarette.